It's stop looking at them as a commission check or as a number or as a KPI on your dashboard. I mean, I built out all our freaking dashboards yesterday and the day before. So I was like in Salesforce heavily building. And I think we can get lost in numbers and forget that you're a person talking to a person, right? At the end of the day, like they need to sign the contract and they're the ones you're going to be engaging with. So when I say humanizing the sales process, it's think about that. Like you're not number one. I don't think I've really been number one priority at like anyone's company. You know, like I might be in that top three, but there's always competing priorities. And so we need to understand things shift, things move around. Like this is like sales is one of the most, I think, challenging things because it's an emotional roller coaster. It's not just step one, step two, step three, sign contracts. Like we like to believe it is. It looks like that in Excel models. And when I was a financial analyst, it's what I did. But the reality is like things happen, misunderstandings happen, or things get accelerated, delayed. New VP or CRO comes in and completely sidelines everything you're working on. Like that's life. So we got to remember, like, treat a human like a human. Just because they're not buying today or they may never buy, doesn't mean they won't refer business to you. Doesn't mean that they won't speak well of you and give you some brand recognition. And if we just focus on the amount of dollars and what's in it for me today, we're really just losing sight of the entire industry and what we truly do. AI can get rid of a lot of the manual work, right? Like you're never going to replace, I mean, I don't know, maybe you could replace this conversation between us, but for the time being, I don't think it's going to go too well in the sales process because it's too many pathways it could go. But for example, like finding all your leads, updating your CRM, like all the stuff that just wastes a lot of sales reps' time, I think that should be automated. I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to waste my time updating and seeing if they left the company or not. That's a complete waste of my time. So I think AI, the value I see in it is really just a lot of that back end, back office kind of work that reps aren't even doing in general, or that they shouldn't be because you're paying them too much per hour to do that, to be quite frank. So I think that's where I see AI really helping. So get my leads for me, get the CRM stuff, everything cleaned, organized, help me automate, the note taking, the meetings, things like that. So a lot of kind of the busy work that's not high value that really requires thinking. It's a routine process. So I think that's the role it's going to play, but I don't see it taking over like our conversations. It might be informing you. It might be like coaching you through your conversations, like, via your headphones kind of thing. But I don't see it taking over my entire role because unless there's a robot signing on the other end, a human still wants to talk to a human at some point during the sales process. For those that want to self-serve, it depends on the product market and the space and your average contract value. Like there's a lot of caveats. I think self-serve with AI is a good way to go if you're like a low value product. So for example, if you're like $20, $30, I don't want to talk to a sales rep. That's annoying. Let me just talk to a service, a little chat bot, run through everything I need to get through, sign up, give you my credit card and move. So if you're selling like low cost widgets, yes. But if you're selling an enterprise deal, let's say $100,000 US and more, you need to talk to people. Like, I don't think that can be automated because I have 5 to like 12 stakeholders, depending on how the company's structured. And I don't see AI being able to handle 12 different people in a complex sales process, understanding the needs from every single department, presentations, pricing, negotiation, politics. We're not there yet with the technology. So at that point, it makes absolutely no sense. And I think it's going to be a detriment. But if it is a low cost widget and you can just kind of rip through it quickly, like you see it in the B2C world a lot more than the B2B world, right? If you want to go online and like buy a new phone case or some junk like that, you don't need to talk to a sales rep. You can talk to a little chat bot and just say, hey, here's my phone. What are my options? Here's all your options. Cool. Pick, click, choose, buy, credit card, done. Like that to me makes sense. But if you're buying the phone itself, which is, these phones are $1,000 and more, probably want to talk to someone at some point, or you've done some research or you've done some other things. That's not just like a bot's maybe going to help you get through all that. I think a couple things. So what I always tell like a salesperson is like, you need to take improv classes. And like the reason why I'm saying this is because we usually say yes, but. So like the prospect tells you something, you're like, yes, but. And improv really says it's a yes and. So you're never like making that prospect look bad. But it's also going to teach you just how to be really uncomfortable and just like whatever gets thrown at you, you just learn to work with it. And so it really just gets you to the point where you're very fluid. Because I've had all kinds of crazy conversations, and I'm like, I wasn't prepared for that in any way, shape, or form, right? But because I have the skill sets to kind of parry that well and complement it, it works a lot better. So I think the first thing is improv. Second one is, you know, you need emotional intelligence. If you can't read the person, if you can't kind of hear tonality, word choice, word speed, things like this, you're going to miss some key insights when they're uncomfortable, because we don't like appearing dumb. So even if we don't understand something, we'll just kind of nod along, and that's going to cost you your deals. Like if there's misunderstanding, it will cost you your deals. Beyond that, like you need to understand like corporate hierarchy, structure, politics, and what it really means when someone brings in your product. Like they're putting their job on the line for you. Like I just had that conversation with a prospect last week when I was in Vegas for RMA, right? I was like, look, at the end of the day, your job is going on the line to bring me in. And so I want to make sure I make you look good. So if you're trying to get promoted or you're trying to go do these things, like I need to know about that. So you got to understand context. It's not just a single person signing a contract. You got someone saying like, hey, they're good, they're going to deliver the value, I'm speaking on their behalf. And if it goes sideways, then it's costing you your title. And I'd probably say the last piece beyond that is you just need to understand business acumen. If you can't speak their language, if you don't understand like financial statements, the three financial statements, the P&L, ROI calculations, you can't do some basic Excel, I just don't see you being successful, because I am staring at an Excel file on my other screen right now where I just broke down current cost with our vendor, cost with us, ROI analysis, and I built all that out, Thursday night. So you need to be able to do these things in order to be effective in your role. Yeah, so I think it definitely shapes the conversation, because like I've done all kinds of different things based on tonality and what I see and what I read from people. By the way, turn your cameras on when you're on these conversations. Like I really dislike staring at someone's name the entire time. It drives me crazy. But you also like you got to remember, we read 80-90% nonverbal, right? So if you don't have your cameras on, then like your prospect can't read you and you can't read your prospect. It's really hard to have an effective conversation. As far as AI being able to pick up on it, I think AI can pick up on the nuances of it, right? Like we do sentiment analysis. I can already tell you if it's a good or bad call. But can I take that in real time and pivot the entire conversation? No, I just don't think we're there. And I don't think that's going to take a long time to get there, right? Because it's like you got to, not only do you have to process it, you have it's a massive decision tree, right? There's a lot of pathways to go. So I don't know. Like I don't think we're going to be there anytime soon. It's just a massive amount of computing. We haven't mapped them out, and we haven't ran enough algorithms to really figure it out. I mean, you have like Google Assist, which can kind of book your appointments, but a sales conversation can go from talking personal to professional and everything like that. I don't see an AI having the ability to, weave between those things. I see it just, step one, step two, step three, and maybe can change some tonality. But when you're talking to someone, 1 minute we're talking about work, next minute we're talking about kids, and we go back to work. Like there's a fluidity, and I don't think artificial intelligence can pick that up. To some extent, I've seen some AI personalization stuff, but some of it feels like it's checking the box. So it's like, I noticed you went to USD. Like if someone ever tells me that in a freaking email, I'm literally deleting the email. Like, no duh, you went on my LinkedIn, or you scraped my LinkedIn and told me I went to college. Pretty sure I know I went there. Like, I kind of went there, paid the loans, and went through it for 2 years. Like, yeah, there's no relevance. So I think personalization without relevance is completely useless, right? If you tell me like, hey, Chris, looks like you like working out. Great, you went on my Instagram. Congratulations. What does that have to do with your solution? So that's my one concern when I see AI personalization, is that it needs to have relevance to the challenges that I'm facing. So if we can program the AI to understand the challenges that the prospect is facing, and then bring in some personalization. So if we want something like this, like, hey, Chris, notice that, you love working out. And one of the common challenges we see with like sales leaders is that it's really hard to get those reps in with their coaching for their reps, right? I'm like, okay, cool. That was a fun play. Like, okay, now that's personalization relevance. You have my attention. most of the time it's just like, hey, Chris, notice you like, working out or drinking coffee. Here's my pitch. And I'm like, it just totally makes no sense. And I think
Yeah.
it actually detracts and hurts you more than helps you in that perspective. So I think AI has more to go as far as blending personalization with relevance to the challenges I face today. You get to that point, and yeah, it will add a lot of value. But as it stands, the little one line snippets, I think they just cause you more harm than good right now.